Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and today I guess we'll start out. I want to start out by explaining what I've found out since yesterday about some of the things we were talking about, but then also some of the errors that have been reported that others have been getting, and I finally started getting them too, and I think I know why. So it would be worthwhile to go over that, and then that way maybe we can solve the problem finally, or at least work around it. After that, we're going to work on this scroll, kind of the scroll spy thing, where it'll this will highlight as we scroll down whatever section that we're on. We'll be able to click on one of these and take us to the correct section. Alright, so first let's go over some of these errors, and I also had said in the description for this video and in the tweet that we were going to talk specifically about property initializer syntax. So if you want to check that out in the React docs, if you go under the handling events page, about halfway down, a little more than halfway down, they go over the property initializer syntax. And we're using this in places, and this is causing an error. So basically, it's instead of binding this and then, in this case, it's handle click and then calling handle click, or anything we really want to call. Instead of doing that, we're using an arrow function, which is basically automatically taking care of binding this, and it works. So the pages obviously work. So for instance, on this page, we're using that several times to make this work. We could see that it is working. We can click around, and there's no errors. I checked the console earlier, and no errors at all. So it works. The problem is when we're using standard JS to help keep our code nice and clean and always formatted the same way. So that's where the errors are coming from. It's not that it's not working, it's just that that's an advanced, the React docs say experimental. It's an experimental feature in JavaScript. So these are the errors that we're getting. Let me make this a bit bigger. And let's see. So it's looking something like this. So it's saying like on mouse over is not defined. Handle close is not defined, right? Even we get state is not defined when we try to define state in kind of the shorthand way that we've been doing it at times, instead of inside the constructor. So all of these errors are basically the same thing. It's using that property initializer syntax. So initially, when we first started this project, and even in our last project, I think we did the same thing. We weren't getting errors. At least I wasn't getting errors, and some of you weren't getting errors. I started getting errors when I upgraded Yarn to a newer version, and a little before that I also upgraded NPM, although that didn't matter for me, but you'll see in a minute. I'll explain why that probably matters for some of you. So I was using a very outdated version of Yarn, and I didn't realize it at first because I kept doing the auto updates, and then it hit me like, wow, I'm being asked to update this very frequently. And so I finally checked the versions and realized that every time I did that auto update, it didn't change anything. I was still in the same version. So I was running Yarn like version 18, and now I think I'm on 24. Whatever the latest one is, I'm on that. So what I think happens, and this is based on going through some issues in Create React App and issues with ESLint. So I spent way too much time researching this. But finally what I think happened is that something changed in both Yarn and NPM. So if you went from NPM 4 something, to NPM version 5, I think 5 is the latest, it also, the same thing happened, whereas they're handling one or more of the dependencies differently than they were before. At least that's, I don't know technically how Yarn and NPM do things and what exactly changed, but that seems to be the conclusion on that I found, like I said, from looking at the issues that other people have had on the GitHub repositories for Create React App, and I think it was for ESLint, or perhaps like for Babel, something like that. I can't remember what the other repository was, but that was the conclusion basically, and some of the issues had been closed. In particular, in Create React App, there's an issue, basically the same thing that's happening to us, and it's been closed, and the solution, which is the workaround given, was revert back to NPM version 4, 4 dot whatever. And the reasoning given was, version 5, there's some different stuff going on in version 5. We don't recommend using that in production. And that was it. So couldn't really find a solution, and I don't really want to go back and revert versions, right? That's not a great solution either, because not only would I have to revert, but anybody that wanted to try to run this without errors would have to revert. So that's not really a good solution. So I think that leaves us with two ways we could go. The first way is we could just switch everything back to a less experimental syntax, which has already been suggested. So Matt had a pull request that did that, among other things. And some of you have already suggested that in the live chat or in comments to the videos. So that's one way. That's probably the easiest way. I mean, it would be a little bit of a pain, I guess, to go back and do that. I know Matt's pull request had done that, but we've changed some things since then, so I can't just pull that in. I'd have to deal with the merge conflicts as well. And the other way that we could go is try to really figure out what's going on and fix the problem. So I went down that path a little bit earlier. So I actually did pull Matt's pull request, and he ejected Create React App in that pull request. Right, so my thought was, hey, if we eject that, I can go in and change the configuration of what we're doing with ESLint and fix it. Now, also what I had done is I pulled it in, I resolved the merge conflicts, but I purposely left in some of the newer syntax. So whereas Matt had changed it back to the old version, I wanted to test to see if we could get it to work. So I left some of it in, and I didn't have any success in trying to change configuration. Now I will say this, I'm not really that experienced with dealing with configuring Babel and ESLint and standard JS to all work together. So maybe if I worked on it more, I maybe could get it to work. But at this point, I think I'm probably just going to switch everything back. So until I do that, if you want to submit a pull request, use this no verify flag on the end. So if you edit a file that doesn't have any of the property initializer syntax, it will pass the test. So you could see I tried to, so I changed this glossary and home, right, and I committed that and everything worked. That's because standard JS is only checking the files that had changed. So the only files that changed were these. I'm not using that syntax, so it works. And this explains why it wasn't consistent. Like the errors that people were getting, in particular, these errors were not consistent. So I committed that, everything was fine, but then a few minutes later, I tried to commit after changing this planning guide.js where we are using some of that newer syntax, and you can see I got the errors again. Alright, we have handle next, handle pre, not defined. So if you're changing something and you're not using that syntax, you should be fine to commit. Otherwise, use that no verify flag at the end for now. I don't really want everyone doing that all the time, because then we won't have the right formatting, but I know that this actually works, so I'm not super worried about it now. So what I will do is convert everything. I'd rather not, because I do like the newer syntax better, but at this point, like I said, I think I've already spent way too much time on this issue trying to find a better solution. And if I would have just changed everything over a couple days ago, then this wouldn't really have been a problem. I wouldn't have even known that it was a problem. So that's where that's at. So I know some of you have told me that you've had these issues, so they will be, I guess, not really fixed, but we'll work around them. We'll avoid them by going with the older syntax for now. All right, so any input that you all have, any ideas in regard to that, I'm definitely open to that. So probably at some point, maybe tomorrow, I'll change the syntax. But for now, we're gonna go ahead, and everything we do, we're just gonna commit with that no verify flag. And I just remembered, I'm going to take a minute here on my other screen to check my mic level. I had a comment on one of the recent videos that someone couldn't hear me. So I want to double check. Okay. Looks like the level, it should be fine. So my output volume is all the way up for the settings for my Mac, and also for the settings in OBS. So I'm not exactly sure what was happening, but I don't think there's anything else I can do about it on my end. So let me know if the sound's alright for you all. But I wanted to at least check it out, double check and make sure it wasn't anything that I was doing wrong. Alright, so let me check the live chat quickly. Just say hello to everyone before we get into the coding. I'll bring over the Pomodoro timer. And also want to apologize. Yesterday I had said that the secondary stream on Instagram would be available to view for 24 hours afterwards, and it wasn't. So I got some sort of error, and it said that the stream wasn't available. I think it was because I waited too long to hit the share button. because it's happened to me at least one time before. So I apologize for that if anybody was looking for the stream and couldn't find it. I'll try to remember to hit that share button right away this time. Okay, so Sebastian in the live chat is saying pray for Barcelona. So if I remember correctly, Sebastian, you are in Spain right now, correct? So anyway, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll keep Barcelona in my prayers. Everybody affected by what had happened today. So I read a little bit about it earlier. So from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, someone drove a car into a group of people or a van. So I didn't get to see what if there were casualties from that. I'm assuming there's, at the very least, there's some serious injuries. So that's about all I know about it. But yeah, definitely I'll be praying for everybody. Okay, cool. So Sebastian is in Spain, but not close to Barcelona. So, well, I'm glad to hear that you're all right, Sebastian. And yeah. So anyway, everybody watching who engages in prayer, definitely be good to get some prayers going for that situation. All right, so report saying 1 to 13 deceased. Oh goodness, Sebastian says the reports are saying that there are anywhere from 1 to 13 people deceased from what had happened. So I'm going to take just a second to pray silently for those people. Just all right. Okay. Let's see. We'll try to go. I'm gonna get started now, and I guess if anybody's tracking what's happening, if there's anything like any important news or anything comes up about that, keep us up to date. I'm not going to be able to follow it while I'm doing the stream, but just had a few kind of basic questions that I'll answer now, since they're at the top of the stream. I don't want to lose them later on. Braxton asks, Jesse, have you completed the Free Code Camp course, like everything, or what parts? Actually, no, I haven't completed it. So I haven't even finished the front end certificate. So I'm slightly ashamed to say that I have not finished that. So I go through it, and you just get. Usually, what happens is I get busy with work, and I don't. I don't work on it like I should. And now that I'm doing the Udacity course, the React Nano degree, I've been putting off the Free Code Camp stuff. So I don't know. I don't think I have my Free Code Camp profile linked anywhere right now. I probably should do that, and then you all can check out my progress. I do intend on going through the rest of the Free Code Camp at some point, but definitely not so after I'm done with my React course, which should be, I think, November. I think the course ends in November, so it'll be a little while. But also, okay, there's another question, but you all covered that in the live chat, so thank you. Yeah, okay, so Sebastian says, so you are saying the tests are failing because of newer ES6 syntax? Yes. It's actually beyond. It would be, what are they calling it? ES6 plus, ES7. So I'm not really sure at what stage the property initializer syntax is right now. I was reading some things about the stage, but I think some of the stuff I was reading was old, so I'm not sure that it's still up to date. But in any case, that's basically the issue. All right, so for now, I want to kind of move forward with this, and maybe we'll find a better solution to it. But at least for now, we can work on this. So what I was working on, and what we left off with yesterday, was we need to track the scroll position. So we need to know two things. We need to know the position on the page of each one of these, their H3 tags. So we need to know that position. Just in terms of I guess they're pixels from the top of the page, and then we need to track the scroll position. So we could get the scroll position pretty easily. So you'd see I was just doing some things in the console here. So we could do document.body scroll top. Okay, and this gives us, I believe it's the number of pixels from the top that we've scrolled. So if you could see, we if we're at the top, it comes back as 0. Scroll down a bit, and it comes back 587. So we've got one covered. The next thing we need to know is the position of these elements. So actually I had a little trouble, so I assumed like, hey, I can just get the scroll top position of this, and it kept returning 0. So I looked into it, and on MDN it was saying basically this doesn't work on every element. So if the element is non-scrollable, or if it has no overflow, its scroll top is always 0. So I'm wondering what the kind of what we should do. I kind of want to see if I could just change the overflow and make it work in here. Overflow. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I guess, what I set it to. No, we're still getting... Yeah, we're still getting that. So maybe I need to target a different element. Yeah, let me try to target a different element. That might be the easiest thing to do. Unless I'm using that scroll top in the wrong way. Pixel scroll. Okay, Matt says be careful about using a spy scroll for on-page load. If you have dynamic data updating the page and it changes the height, you might get the wrong body height. Alright, I should have, this page should be alright, just in terms of, I don't think we'll have any dynamic data for this page. This is just going to be pretty straightforward, but we'll see if we have issues with it. So I'm just going to take this ID and put it on this div just to see if we can get a different result. No, and we're not. I'm wondering if I'm using the wrong thing, if this maybe is not what I should be looking for. I know I've done all this before. I've done it all before, but I kind of think I did it in jQuery before. So I'm not sure that my old code would be very much help to look it up. So let me... Basically, what I'm looking for is I need the Y position of an element, an HTML element on the page. Get bounding box. Yeah, I was just gonna try that. Let's see. Okay, so this is one way to do it. Okay. There's got to be some way to get right to this, right? This is what I want, but you would think there would be some way that I could just get this. Oh well, we can do this for now. So let's move this back onto our H3. So it should work. We'll double check, make sure that it does work. Okay, that's working. So here's what we'll need to do. On component did mount, we're going to get the values. We're going to get these values for each one of those H3s. Then on scroll, we're going to get the user scroll position. Once the scroll position gets to this top coordinate for one of those sections, then we'll change the state so that one of these will be highlighted. So that's the plan. So let's do that. Let's go over to our code and make it a bit bigger. And so for now, let's see. Okay, so our step index I think our step index just gets a number. Okay, so that's just 0 index number. So in this case, I guess we could just get all the H3s on the page. I was thinking we'd have a different ID for each H3, but I don't know that we need to do that. Oops. Okay, so Matt had typed in the live chat, try doing offset height. And I had done that before, but I kept getting 46. And there's no way that this is 46 pixels from the top. So that's why I didn't go with that. So maybe I'm doing it wrong. Hey, so anyway, so aim high's here. It's been a while. How's it going? Right now we're working on the scroll. So we're gonna get the scroll position, and we're gonna change. Basically, it's gonna highlight this menu in the side based on what section we're on, and then we're also going to be able to click on a section, and then it'll take you right to that section. Actually, we will need our anchor tags, right? Because or our IDs. Yeah. So let's give these IDs. Plan ahead. Budget. Proof. And services. Okay. Now, let's see if we have. I don't think we. Yeah, we don't have a component did mount in here yet. So let's add that in. Component did mount, and I'm not sure if we'll need that, but in terms of being able to access this, but we might, so we'll put it in. Actually, we probably will, because we'll need to access state. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a way that I could get all these without having to manually call the get the IDs. So maybe, let's see. Tag name about H3. Get elements by tag name. Okay, cool. So yeah, we can just get this, and where's the ID? ID plan. Okay. Okay. Umberto has given another option here that we can try out. And that might be the winner, OffsetTop. That's what I think. That's what we were looking for. So yeah, that's what we were looking for. So that's the right value. Thank you, Umberto. I knew that there was something that would give us what we wanted. So that's it. So to get the height, or I'm sorry, to get the position of an element in terms of how many pixels from the top it is, then OffsetTop is the way to go. If you need more information, this get bounding client rec will give you a lot of information, but we don't need that in our case. Okay, great. So, alright, so here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to get, within component did mount, I'd like to get all the H3 elements and then save, let's see, I guess we could save that as key value pairs with the ID and the whatever value we get from OffsetTop. And that should be all the information we need about those H tags. Okay, does that make sense? If not, let me know in the live chat. Okay, slightly off what we're doing right now, but so Patrick has been kind of giving updates on trying to replicate those errors we were talking about at the beginning of the stream. and he couldn't replicate it. But then Patrick installed Node version 8.4.0, and now the errors are occurring. So yeah, so that's no good. I mean, anybody that's keeping their stuff up to date is going to get errors. So that's not what we want. All right, so let's go with. Alright, I'm just going to console log that, double check, make sure that works before we go forward, because that's pretty important. Shoot, and it's not giving us anything. Why not? Alright, either we're doing something wrong, maybe that's not the right place to put it. I'm not even getting any errors though. Not really much I can do. Alright. Okay, now Patrick went back to an earlier version of Node, and he's still getting the errors. Yeah, it's a frustrating. It was a frustrating experience for me. Sebastian says he's on Node 8.2.1 and not getting any errors. So yeah, it's just. It's really difficult to nail down exactly what's going on. I mean, all I know is that I update and I get the errors, and I never got them before. Alright, so good. Thanks. So Amai had the suggestion, just log a string and see if component did mount is even getting called. And no, it's not. What's going on? Three items hidden by filters. I'm not getting. It's. All right, so I'm not seeing anything, but it is saying that I'm having items hidden by filters. But I'm not sure that I have anything filtered. Maybe this is, who knows? Let's see. No, it's not. Alright, well, for some reason we're not getting component did mount. Let's see if we can get anything to show up. That's really odd. Alright, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I can't get a console log. I'm checking in the live chat now to see what you all are thinking. Yosef says, today no thumbs down, we really should celebrate. Yeah, no thumbs down yet. We'll see. I usually always get one or two. Yeah, let's see what's going on. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I mean, this should be what we... Verbose only, default. Whoa. Okay. So that fixed it. In forwarding errors. Okay. Somehow I had... I guess turn these off. Anyway, wow. So it looks like this worked. So let's see. What did I change? Let's go back to what I initially had to see if it works. Oh. There we go. Alright. Okay. Never use. Alright, so this is what is now our, what do we name that? Headers. So we should be able to grab, what was that again? Okay, it's just ID. So we can grab the ID, and then with the ID, we could get that, what was it, OffsetTop? Yeah, we can use OffsetTop to get that value, right? Oh, David said it was probably a Chrome update or something that caused that. It's so annoying when things like that change. Actually, now that you say that, I did update Chrome, was it yesterday? I think I updated on this computer yesterday. So that's possible, because I don't remember changing that, but I do remember that I haven't seen any errors in the console for a while. So that was probably why. Alright, so now that we've gotten through that kind of silly problem, now let's go through, so we're going to do headers. I think what the best way to go through these headers would be. Should we map? I guess we could map, right? I know I was corrected in an earlier stream, but we can map over an array, correct? That's the proper use of map. I think I tried to map over an object before, and that was not the way to do it. Sohail says, "Can you invite me to the Slack chat?" I don't think you need an invite. You just need the link, correct? It should. So Blake pasted a link in there in the live chat. So if you copy that and then replace the asterisk with a period, then it should work. Let me know if that link does not work. It says you. Well, okay, so it does say you need an invite. That's weird. Does anyone else have that same issue of needing an invite? Whoa. Patrick said linting fixed, PR incoming. Patrick, if you really fixed the linting, I'm going to be super happy and like very, very impressed, because this has been we've been streaming for less than an hour, and it took me probably 15 minutes to explain what the problem is. So that's very impressive. It's like you've probably fixed this issue in less time than it took me to explain the issue. Alright, here is an invite link to join the Slack thing. I pasted it in the live chat. Try that out and let me know if that works. Alright, so anyway, where's that? I got distracted. Okay, header. Okay, so we want to do states, headers, Okay, yep, I think that's what I want to do. So we can check that out. Nope, that's not going to work. Alright, let's change this to do. Wait a second. Yeah, it was ID was the it was there, right? Let's see. Is this just a syntax thing? Did I mess that up? Let me see. All right. visited. Okay. Maybe, do I need? Do I even need this? Okay, unexpected to. Maybe I did need that. Alright, so where's my error message? This is my error message. Headers.map is not a function. Man, today I just can't I can't do anything without getting an error. How about headers? I said alright, so AMI says do array is array by station. Gives back an array. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's see what it'll give us. Okay. So thanks Umberto for that suggestion, and then I don't need, yeah, correct. Okay, he just, so yeah, so then we don't really need, when in here I was using the ID to get that element, but since it's returning elements anyway, I don't need that. I can just go straight to this. So let's okay, so I'm still getting this headers map. That map is not a function. Actually, what was I thinking? I didn't want to set up my state like that. I wanted to have... Let's see. Let's just loop through this in a simple way. Where am I at? Alright, so I'm gonna be old-fashioned here for a second. There we go. Did I mess up in a for loop? I is greater than headers dot length. So it's console headers. I'm pretty sure I did not mess up the for loop. Is your iteration condition is I did mess up a for loop. Umberto, good good look at that. Man, I just that may be my most embarrassing moment on a live stream, that I messed up a for loop by putting the greater than sign instead of the less than sign. I mean, it's not like I haven't done that before, but I've never done that live on YouTube. Alright. I just looked over at my analytics for this video. I was expecting everybody to just quit watching at this point, but it looks, it looks like that didn't happen. Okay, Matt said you might be able to use a for each loop instead of for loop. Yeah, I figured I could use something else, but I just thought, like, I'm just going to go, like, to the simplest thing I can think of just to test it out. So that could probably be refactored. I'm still not exactly sure why I couldn't get map to work. I don't know. So it doesn't matter. For loops are fine. So hey, look, we have all the values that we want. Now we just need to put that. I'm going to put that in state so that we can access that. Actually, do we need that in state? Let me think what our next step needs to be. So now that we can get that, we need to compare. Wait, so we need to have a scroll handler, all right, to listen for the for scrolls, and then compare. Okay, yeah. So we probably could put that. Let's compare it. Actually, our scroll position should also be in state. Oops. And we can just start that at 0 because that's probably where it'll be anyway. Okay. Let's get rid of a lot of this. Sorry, I'm just thinking of trying to think ahead. I'm just trying to think if I even need the IDs to be in state. I'm not sure if I need them to be in state right now. Positions. Okay, so Tomer, welcome. I don't know that I've seen you in the live chat before, but welcome, and also good call. So Tomer says document.getElements by tag name returns an HTML collection, not an array. That probably explains why I couldn't use map. So thank you for that. Sebastian's also saying, could you do something like this? If the scroll position of the first H3 is less than X, set step index to 1, which is the first step. If the second H3 is less than X, set step index to 2, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, Sebastian, I think that's the way to go. John also asks, are props not usually the way to go first before using state? I keep seeing this, so I'm not sure. John, I'm actually, I frequently do use state just to store data in state, and I don't know that I necessarily need to. I guess I don't really know what the best way to do it is, but with some things obviously you do want to be in state, like if you want things to happen when values change, then you should put it in state. What's it doing? Header. What's the new, what's it called? The new ES6 syntax is a spread operator. Can I use that in this case to add things on? I just kind of I forget what let me look up the syntax on the other screen, because it would be cool to use this properly in the video. I was just going over this. Probably not, just maybe like 2 weeks ago I was going over this. So I don't use it often enough to remember how to use it. It's something like this, right? Because really we want to combine arrays, so I guess I could just say that and see. I'm pretty sure that's not all that I need, but let's see. Yep. Oh yeah, because I'm not. This is not an array. So I guess I could just go with header positions. Whoops, that's not. Oh, cool. Andrew says, in the official documentation, Facebook has a great section on how to determine when you'll need state. It really helped make sense of things for me. All right, good to know. So if you're curious about when to use state and when not to use state, check that out. I should probably check that out as well, since I'm not able to really explain how I decide when to use state and when not to use state. Then I think I need more information on that. If I'm mistaken, you need to concat the value to the old one. Check the set state of the. Oh, okay, cool. Concat. All right. Good. Thanks, Sebastian. That was exactly what I needed. I was thinking in my head, like, do I use push or pop or what? You know, those are things to handle arrays. I'm trying to remember what's the one that would add it to the end. But this works as well. Yeah, this one. Oops. What? No. Come on. Set state equals. Did I just. What is going on here? Wow, this is like okay, Patrick said concat returns an array which does not mutate state. Alright, let's see. So I'm getting some suggestions here in the live chat, so let me go through some of these. Alright, Patrick says concat returns an array, thereby not mutating state. Just build the array in the for loop and then add it to state. Alright, cool. Umberto, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Alright, cool. Let's do that. So, I don't remember if I read Umberto's comment out loud or not, but Umberto said, why not just create the array in the loop and then add the array? after that to state, and that makes a lot of sense. So let's do that. Wait, what would Sebastian say? Okay, Sebastian says do the same as in component will update, next props, next state, and then const header position from next state. Yeah, you need to set the state outside of the loop. Yeah. Alright. Let's get this out of here. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm not. Usually, I'm accused of talking too much in my streams. I feel like I'm not really saying very much of all when I'm typing. So, anyway, what so what I'm doing here is we have basically we made an empty array here. That's our header positions. That's going to hold our values. Inside this loop, we are pushing the values here, our OffsetTop values, into the array. So then we're going to call this set state, and let's see, we don't need this anymore. We need header positions is going to be header positions. Whoa. Okay. Positions. That's what we need to do, right? and probably don't need to initialize that into array. Let me just see what it says first. Whoa, didn't get an error. That's a good sign. Sweet, look at that. No, dang it, it's not the right values. Okay, but we have something. Alright, so we've successfully put something into state. Alright. Man, this has been rough. It's like every single step something goes wrong. Alright, so why is this happening? Header positions, push. Oh, because I put 0. And I needed I. Alright, I'm happy about that. That's easy to fix. Yay, there we go. Alright, so here's all our positions. Wonderful. So, just in case you didn't follow along, maybe especially if you're new to JavaScript, the error that I was having was that I put 0 here, which was giving me the first element in our headers array, and then getting the offset top of that element, which is why we had the same value for each one. What I needed to do was put I here, right? And I is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. For each time this loop goes, it's going to go up by 1, and that gave us the value that we needed. Okay, wonderful. What do you got? I haven't looked at the live chat for a few minutes, and did you tell someone that I'm using Notepad? Yeah, okay, so Sebastian said, doing it like I'm doing now, I don't need this. Yeah, you're right, I don't need these. And what else? Okay. I figured I may have left the console log in there as well, but I think I got them all out. Oh, Slip Sackno he caught my error with putting the 0 in here instead of the I. So thanks for catching that. Sorry I didn't look over and see it. So you must have caught that right away. So good job on that. Okay, so Suhib is saying, I'm not understanding anything. Anybody who can help? Alright, so I'm not exactly sure what your level of understanding is in terms of like JavaScript or React or anything, so I'm not exactly sure where to start, but we're using a JavaScript framework called React to build this, so it's not exactly just plain JavaScript, but within this, what we're doing here is mostly just plain JavaScript, and that we're just grabbing the header tags, all of the header tags on the page. This gives us an array of the elements, or not exactly an array, but this gives us all our elements, and then we're just looping through those elements, and we want to get the position of each of those elements on the page in terms of how many pixels from the top of the page it is. So that's where that offset top is. So we now have an array called header positions. It gives us the position from the top in pixels of each one of the H3 elements on our page, and our page being this page. So these are H3s, and we have 4 H3s, right? And then this is the React part of it. All of this was just regular JavaScript. The React part is that we're going set state, right? Which our state is up here, and we're going to set this portion of our state, which is header positions. We're going to set that equal to our header positions that we've put in here, and this is block scoped, right? So it's not, we're not going to be able to access this anywhere else in terms of this variable, but we will be able to access it through state. Alright, so that's what we've got. Now the whole point of getting that, I'm not sure if you've been watching the whole time or not, so you may not have heard towards the beginning, but the whole point of getting that is that we want to be able to track where a user is on the page as they scroll down, and then show that visually by highlighting this menu over here, which we haven't. Each one of these menu items is going to correspond to one of these H tags. So as the user scrolls, the corresponding section here will be highlighted, and they can click to go to whatever section they want. So that's I guess where we're at. So hopefully that made more sense of this for you. All right. Alright, so I have not taken a break since we started, well, almost since we started to look at the live chat. So I'm going to do that. Even though I remembered to pull this over on my screen, I never started it. So let's take a 5-minute break. I'm going to go to the live chat, see if I missed any questions. And to be honest with you, I need a 5-minute break right now because I don't want to say we, but I just struggled through that. That was rough. It was rough on my my mental stamina here. So I can feel I just need a small break, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, going through. I guess I didn't miss many questions here in the live chat, so that's good. Ali asked a while ago if there are good resources for people who are not too new, with JavaScript. Sebastian recommended freeCodeCamp. Yeah, that would be my recommendation too. freeCodeCamp. Code Academy has some introductory JavaScript courses that you can do, and then Udacity has some free introductory JavaScript courses as well. So those would be my main suggestions. If you like reading more than like the hands-on stuff, then the book You Don't Know JS is available for free. It's all on GitHub, so you can read through that whole book for free. That's really good. It's more like a series, not just one book. But those would be my recommendations. Okay. Oh, okay. I mentioned earlier we were talking about when to use state and when not to use state, and I had seen so Andrew had said that there's a great section in the React documentation on that, and then I didn't see his follow-up comment, which was the section is called Thinking in React. So if you want to go right to that section, check it out. Thinking in React is the place to go. John Hansen has a question. It says, what about media queries that can change a component? Would it be better to associate that with props or state? Yeah. Well, I guess if we're using media queries, then that would be in CSS. So if it's a CSS change, it doesn't necessarily need to be in props or state. That would just be handled with the media queries in CSS. So now, if you wanted, I guess, if you wanted to use JavaScript to check the width of the page and then do things based on that, then I would, if I were using JavaScript to check the width of the screen, and then let's say every time the width changed, it updates those values, then I would say the screen width should be in state, right? The value of the width of the screen should be in state. It should update every time the window is changed. The window width is changed. I suppose. I mean, I guess that would be a lot of changes. Maybe you wouldn't want to update every time. Yeah, that'd be. I guess I'm just not sure. I'm trying to think of a situation where you would want to do it that way instead of using just regular CSS media queries. I'm sure they exist. I'm just having trouble thinking about it, a situation like that right on the spot. At some point. Alright, hold on. I have a knock at the door. I'll be right back.
Submit updates to you before that, but you don't do that. And I told him that you Sunday between now and on. So wait till September 30th or September 15th. So he got it. So I just want to make sure that we're back with going through. And then I said, once we get through October, we'll see what we didn't get to or what more, and then we'll say, okay, we'll still go back to February. So they were completely on board with it. I just wanted to let you know in case you would get an email early, just back burner it. Okay. They know, and I'll tell Tom. So we're good. Okay. Do you have any questions? We're still not working on it till October 1st, unless by a miracle, let's say they did have something due by September 4th, and we felt Thomas is a good time for me to do it. You know, I mean, you guys will be in charge of that, but I committed to working on it starting October 1st. Okay? All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about the little silent few minutes there, but when it was the head of my department. When the head of the department knocks on my door, I kind of have to take that. So, and that was in regard to our last project, the Catechetical Institute site. So I guess I'll be working on some updates to that starting October 1st. So we'll be going back to that and hopefully making it better. We'll see. We'll see what the requested updates are. Okay. Let's see. All right. So I've just seen Sebastian. I've seen your latest comments here saying when I click the link in See Common Marcom Terms for more information, for some reason I'm scrolled in the middle of that page. Seems that depending on your scroll position in Planning Guide, you did a different scroll position in Glossary. Yeah, that's not what we want. That's odd. And so that's really odd behavior. I would think the default behavior for React Router. Actually, let's see if am I using the link there properly. Where are we at? Planning Guide. Okay, I am. It's just link to Glossary. Alright. You would think the default behavior would be to scroll up to the top of the page. Has anyone had any experience with this using React Router where it does not scroll to the top of the page? I mean, an easy way to fix this would just be to scroll the page to the top automatically on component did mount. But there's got to be something in React Router about this. Let's see. I'm just going to add this. Okay. Okay, Matt said, I ran into a similar issue and used window.scrollTop or window.scroll to 0, 0 on route change. Okay, cool. That's what I was, well, I mean, that's what I was thinking about doing in component did mount, but you can do that. I'll just have to look it up to do that on a route change. Like I'm assuming there's like a callback for route change where you could do that in with React Router. So Mandela Effect Conference asks, how did some of you guys posting learn React for us noobs? So I guess it's not directed at me; it's directed at you all in the live chat. So I'll let you I'll let you handle that. I think I've explained before, I'm sure, how I've learned places where I've learned React from. So I'll let you all have in the live chat have a turn now. All right, where are we at? Let's see. We have. All right, we need to get that some values in that side navigation, this secondary navigation now. Okay, so I guess this is where we're gonna do whatever we need to do. So step index. Okay, so we still need a we need to check for the scroll. Alright, so we'll have to check the scroll functions. Okay, so what we want to do, let's see, inside component did mount, we're going to call this track scroll, and when we're tracking the scroll, we want to add an event listener. Okay. So we want to. We already added this in skate, right? Yeah. Okay, so. And how were we getting the scroll position before? What was that? Console. Document body scroll top. Yeah. Yep, that's what we're doing. Alright, let's see if this works. This set state is not a function. Let's see. Okay, yeah, Matt said debounce that function. Yeah, I definitely, I don't want to leave it like this, so I just wanted to see if it worked. But yeah, you definitely don't want to run that every single time that there's any activity on the scroll. So let me see though, what is going on? Track scroll. So inside here, this is not this. It's not working. So let me think. Can I turn this? I suppose if I use an arrow function. Then I would have access to it, so we can change this to let's see. Oops. Okay, Matt's pasting in a bunch of stuff here. So I just saw that, Matt. All right, so let me go through. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Let me paste some of this. So thank you, Matt. All right, so we got handle scroll, and then, whoops. Here we go. Scroll debounce. Okay, I think I got that copied over correctly in the right place. So, I guess we should. Let me check to make sure I did it right and it works, and then I'll explain what's going on. Oops, I did not bring in debounce. Shoot, I know I'm bringing this in somewhere else. There we go. Okay. Great. Okay, so let's inspect this and check the state. And there we scroll position. Oops. Okay, so it's updating scroll Y, which is fine. So let's get rid of scroll position here. Well, we can scroll Y. Okay, so that works. Let me explain what's going on. Alright, so the first thing that happens in component did mount, it calls track scroll. Track scroll then adds an event listener so that every time the user scrolls, this happens, right? But then we're using debounce from Lodash, right, which is a JavaScript library. So we've imported debounce from Lodash. Basically, what this is doing is making sure that this handle scroll does not get called constantly. So this is a 300 millisecond delay. Trying to think, there's a couple different ways aside from, so like there's debounce and I think there's throttle. I can't remember for sure the difference in terms of when it's calling this, but basically it's just going to make sure that this doesn't fire all the time. So when handle scroll does get called, then it's going to set the state, and it's going to set scroll Y, because it's the Y position, right, to whatever window dot scroll Y. And we can see in our state so in our state we have the scroll Y position, and let's see if I can get these both on the screen at once. We should be able to see a change as we scroll. There we go. Okay, so here's our scroll. Actually, I don't think we want to use debounce. We want to use, so if I remember correctly now, debounce will wait until the action has been done. So in this case, it will wait from the time I stop scrolling 300 milliseconds. But I would like this to change as the scroll occurs. So what we should do is we should use something else. So let's see. I think we can use throttle. Alright, let me, I'm double checking on my other screen here. Yeah, I think throttle's the better way to go. So, so debounce, what it's going to do is, so as I'm scrolling, there's a bunch of actions going on. It's going to group all those actions into one. So you can see now that I've stopped, it's grouped all that and it's only fired that once. What throttle is going to do is it's going to make sure that it only fires, let's say, every 300 milliseconds. But every 300 milliseconds, it will check that scroll position. So So we'll get more of what we want if we're going to use throttle. So let's see. I think we've got. Let's see. Actually, where are we bringing Lodash in? Does Create React App come with Lodash? Because I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Let's see if that works. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Alright, so you see this is giving us, so let's see if I can get it to do this. So as I'm scrolling, you see it's updating and I'm not stopped. So that's more what we want. Once we have the changes reflected here, we'll be able to see if what we need to set in terms of the delay in milliseconds. You know, maybe we'll need to go lower to make it, you know, more smooth. We'll see. Okay, but basically that's, if you're going to use debounce or throttle, that's like, debounce is really good. Like if you wanted to like do validation on an input field, you would want to wait until the user has stopped typing, right? So you know, you don't want like the error message to pop up right in the middle of what they're typing, right? You want to wait, because let's say like for an email address, for instance, right? If they haven't got to the point where they type like the @ and then the domain, obviously anything that's going to be invalid. So it would be annoying to show that. So you want to wait until they've stopped, let's say for 300 milliseconds, because at that point they've, you know, they're either thinking or they're probably done. But in the case of scrolling, in this case of scrolling, since we want it to be like more of a fluid thing that it will highlight as we're scrolling, we wanted to go with throttle so that we know that it'll keep firing. So anyway, so hopefully that's, I kind of feel like that's the most intelligent thing I've done this entire stream, is explain the difference between throttle and debounce. So Matt also said correctly that we need to unbind or remove the event listener. So let's do that as well. So component did unmount. Did I spell it? Okay. So on component did unmount, we want to remove that event listener, right? So we don't want that. If we're not on this view, there's no reason to have that going, right? So let's remove that. All right. So scroll and let's see. So what I need to put? Do I need to put mouse down? Do I need to put the rest? Alright, let me know if I need to put the rest of this for it to accurately remove it or not. Oops, component will unmount. Alright, so let's see. Let's check our lifecycle methods for React. See which one we want. So there is no component did unmount. Yeah, so I guess we just need component will unmount. Which is cool since, do we have it already? No, we don't. Oh, we have component will mount. Alright. Will unmount. That was a pretty useful error message there. Actually, it said exactly what we needed, to use. Okay, what time is it? All right, so at this point, I'm not sure if I want to go ahead and try to implement this whole thing because we've been going for over 2 hours, and I'm starting to get pretty hungry, and I've used up a lot of my brain power struggling through all the errors I was getting. So I suspect at this point my work is going to become, the quality of my work is going to lessen as I keep trying to go past this point of being mentally exhausted and hungry. So I think now would be a good time to finish for today, and I'll answer any questions. I'll try to scroll up a bit, see if there are any questions, but in terms of the code, I think we'll finish for today. I'll commit this so that you all can see it in GitHub, And I mean, we've got a significant portion of this finished. The rest of the steps would then be, now that we have this, simply comparing our values, our Y position, our header positions, and then changing the step index based on that. And then once we do that, then we can do things based on the step index within here. Those things being highlight the correct. I'm sorry. This is what happens when we click on it, actually. So in here, this is where we would want to actually scroll to the place that we should be scrolling to. But on scroll, depending on the comparison of our Y position and our header positions, we're going to highlight something different here. So those are the next steps. We'll get to that. Either I may just finish this up tomorrow morning and then just show what I've done. We'll see, unless something comes up and I can't get to it, and then we'll just work on it during the stream tomorrow. But if you don't want to stick around for the question and answer, thanks for watching and thanks for all your help. I really appreciate that. I'm actually had a decent number of viewers stick around to this point, so thank you for that. It's been long and somewhat difficult today. So I'm going to scroll up a bit. So I did get most of the way through. Alright, I'm getting a call. Let me see. Actually, I don't think there's any questions, so I'm going to take this phone call, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.